I had no idea my gut was running my life. For years, I've dealt with bloating, random anxiety, and low energy levels. And I thought it was just part of life, individual or individual ailments on their own, until I discovered that my gut was running the show. So I set out to fix it, and what I experienced blew my mind. So it turns out for the last 30 plus years, I've been fighting my own body, or what my body wanted to be able to do to be healthy. And, I was experiencing, like I had said, bloating, low energy levels, chronic pain, like chronic soreness and stiffness, brain fog, and I'm sure a plethora of other ailments that kind of lie in the background at all times. And it was a struggle on a daily basis. It was hard to focus. It was hard to really be happy, because it seemed like almost every time I ate or something like that, I would get this wicked pressure in through my gut, in through my upper diaphragm, making it difficult to breathe, or having that inability to take that deep breath, which inevitably led to anxiety and whatnot. And it was just over and over this kind of vicious cycle of these quasi attacks, I guess you could say. They weren't attacks, but it almost felt like it. And it was all because of the way I was treating my body, what I was putting into my body. And, I noticed these symptoms, and I noticed, as I started paying attention to them, as to what was causing it, what time of day it was, what I was eating when it happened, I realized that I was the one doing the damage. It wasn't my body fighting me. It was me fighting my body. Me causing harm, me doing self-damage to my body because of what I was intaking, things that didn't agree with me. Obviously, a lot of processed foods. I've talked about that in the past. I was taking in all kinds of garbage, eating out far too much, drinking pop, Diet Coke in particular, and on. And I was just like, it was an awful state of being, feeling like I was just constantly struggling to be alive, is the way it felt, to be honest. And what I ended up having to do is kind of an elimination sort of diet. The obvious things that happened initially, let's cut out all the junk, let's cut out all the garbage, let's cut out the sugar as much as possible. I cut out the dairy because I was noticing that I had like that lactose intolerance kind of thing going on. So as soon as I'd have any cheese or milk or something along those lines, I would definitely feel that bloat. I would feel the gut irritation and, sure enough, want to blow my pants 10 minutes later type of feeling, right? And so, yeah, dairy had to leave. Processed foods were gone. I had also tried adding certain things in, probiotics, some fermented foods, things that in theory were supposed to be good for my body. And I also adjusted to what I did. So how often I was eating. I was trying to fast. I was trying to have 2 meals a day. I was trying to eat a little slower, maybe chew my food a little bit more, that digestive system, right? Trying to reduce stress, which I've talked a lot about, my daily habits, the daily steams, the meditation, the cold plunge, anything to reduce inflammation of that kind. So, but what was funny is that initially it felt like I was almost treating symptoms as opposed to the problem. I hadn't connected the gut health to it yet. And so I was everything I was doing was attacking a particular system. Cold plunge for inflammation, popping ibuprofen like it was a Tic Tac for inflammation, probiotics for, just to maybe feel a little better, because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. Cutting out the junk food because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And initially it was hard because, I wasn't doing everything just right or for the right the right way for the right reasons. And so I was stuck with cravings, and very often I would jump back into the bad habits, have some junk food or have a Diet Coke and things like that. And what changed for me was this idea of ancestral eating, eating in the way that my ancestors would have, and very Paleolithic type of style, whole or organic raw food, not raw necessarily, but like whole foods, non-processed, really simple too, like very, very basic. I'm not going with ridiculously complicated recipes or anything like that. I'm having meat, I'm having tubers, a variety of types, and that's pretty well it. Plenty of fats, avocados and animal fats and things that nature as well. And it's been, to be honest, incredible, because what I first started to notice is, as soon as I made that change, I realized, okay, anytime I had those old symptoms, the symptoms of, maybe I felt that bloat and the anxiety was kicking in, I realized, pardon my French, but I just had to take a shit. Right. And as soon as I had that taken care of, the anxiety's gone, bloat's gone. I was like, oh, okay, so it's tying in. And I found it really interesting. And this is where I started to make the connection. I was like, why is my anxiety triggered by me having to take a crap? This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Why do I need to take a crap? But all of a sudden my brain is triggering like, panic mode type of thing. And so I started looking into it, and apparently there's this strong gut-brain connection. Apparently they're very similar types of tissues. I guess you could ultimately kind of say your gut has a brain, or is at the very least connected to your brain, in the way it triggers hormones and other things of that nature. And for me, it was my body triggering alarm systems, essentially. You've got this going on, trigger an alarm, let them know something's wrong, and to take care of it. And it had just kind of gone into hyperdrive. So anytime I needed to, like I said, I know it's gross, but talking about, taking a crap, I would have some anxiety. And it would disappear the second it was taken care of. And I was like, oh man, okay, that's really fascinating in a way. Once I realized that, I was like, I can start adjusting so that I'm not getting the bloat as much. I can become much more regular. I'm not feeling the pressure of having to take a bowel movement type of thing, and my body will react better, and the alarms won't go off, and I can do the normal thing. I can have those bowel movements without the alarms, without that anxiety, right? So it was kind of really an eye-opener for me, because I instantly, as soon as I started eating the way my body's designed or genetically predisposed to be eating, I felt better. The bloating disappeared. The energy levels absolutely skyrocketed. My focus is elevated exponentially as well. I can sit there, I can study better when I'm in school. I can think about other things as well and focus on those, take on more tasks at once, which is great. And just feeling overall, it sounds weird, but happier. Now it is a beautiful day out here too, so there's lots of sunshine. The vitamin D I can definitely feel my body soaking that in, so that's a huge impact as well. But honestly, I felt happier as soon as I knew I was eating better, because my body wasn't triggering these alarm systems within itself going, red alert, everything's wrong here, you're eating the wrong things, or you're eating too much, or, you need to make adjustments. And so what I had done is, obviously I'd cut out the dairy. I've actually now ultimately cut out pretty much all bread. I'll have it occasionally, but bread blows me like crazy. It has a really bad impact on me. To be honest, I don't eat a lot of vegetables. I find they don't agree all that well with me either. I'll have tubers, beets and particularly yams, maybe the occasional potato. They love my body. They love me. I mean, it's amazing how I feel after having, a good plate of meat and a little bit of yams and beets. It's unbelievable how I feel. It's great. great. It's literally mind-blowing and life-changing. So what can you do here? I've talked about it the past weeks here. You need to be experimenting in a way with yourself. You need to be really paying attention, if not journaling, what is going on with your body, when, why, what you're eating. Is there a correlation? Do you see something happening at the same time all the time, and especially when you're eating certain things? And treat yourself like a science experiment. And I think you'll be blown away when you start simplifying your diet, adding in the whole foods, removing all the garbage, and making micro adjustments for those things that really you're finding they're not bad, but they're not really helping you either, right? Like, that's what I was finding with bread. That's what I was finding with dairy in particular. Inherently they're not horrible, but for me, they definitely weren't doing me any favors, right? So I cut them out, or at least for the most part. Like I said, I'll still have them occasionally and within moderation, so that I'm not having, triggering all those alarms within myself and having, different symptoms come back. But yeah, so make those simple changes. And if you have made changes already, let me know in the comments what's worked for you. How's it affected your body? And, until then, remember, like and subscribe if you've liked what you heard. Stay curious and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like I've said before, this is how we grow. So until next time, I hope you have an amazing week, and we'll see you then. Peace.